Exotic weapons are an interesting rarity. They don't really fit into the hierarchy at all. They're just normal weapons that have these kind of different quirks to them. But of course, just like every rarity, not every exotic is made equal. And today we're going to rank every single exotic from number 22 down to number 1. This video will not include 2 exotics. That is the Flight Knock pistol from Laserbeam's LTM/tournament and Cypher PK's Trap Tower. Those are both LTM exclusives, and I will just be looking at Battle Royale weapons only. If you guys go on to enjoy this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Use TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop if you'd like to support the work that I'm doing here on YouTube. And with that all being said, let's just get right into this. At number 22 is the Big Chill. This is a snowball launcher, but if you guys didn't know, it does no damage. I really don't know that I can back a weapon that does no damage. I understand it gives you the snowy feet, you know, shoot it at yourself, you got good mobility, but who is using a grenade launcher that does no damage? Not me, that's for sure, and that's why it's getting our spot at the worst exotic. At number 21 is the Boom Heavy Sniper Rifle, and I think some people are going to be angry at this, but just hear me out for a second. Firstly, there are 2 snipers, exotic snipers, that are just plain better than this, so you know those 2 have to be ahead of this. This sniper was cool when it came out years and years ago, but now it's just totally lost its purpose in my opinion. Look, 85 damage is just not doing it for me. Having to hit somebody 3 times, somebody who is at full shield, which let's be honest, people are often at full shield, having to hit them 3 times with a sniper rifle, right? This is a sniper. This is not, you know, an AR or something like that. It takes skill to hit these. To have to hit them 3 times to kill them is absolutely ridiculous. I know people are going to argue, look, you get the explosion damage. If there's 2 people next to each other, you can do double the damage. Just way too niche. The only time that this is useful, in my opinion, is when you're going to have a player spamming builds and you can just basically spam 50 clinger grenades at them. That's really it. In no build, in my opinion, I don't see it being good either, and I think it really deserves a bottom spot here on this list. At the number 20 spot, that is going to be the Nighthawk. The Nighthawk is just a thermal scoped revolver, and if you saw my video on revisiting some of Fortnite's worst exotics, my main argument was just that this isn't really needed. Now that we have DMRs, which basically just do the same thing the Nighthawk does, but better, why would you ever use a scoped pistol? At the time, the thermal scope was super unique, and I just think that the kind of like coolness of this weapon has just weared off. Again, in my opinion, I just don't think it really excels at anything. You know what I'm saying? You'll see once we get higher in this list, they have one really good trait that separates them, but here, it's just nothing really moves me here. Again, if you wanted to use a long-range weapon with a scope, use a DMR, use a sniper, and if you wanted to use something close range, use an SMG. To me, it just does nothing right, and it's going to stay at the number 20 spot. And I think it deserves the 3rd worst exotic of all time. At our number 19 spot, we have the Marksman 6-shooter. This is actually an interesting one because the Marksman 6-shooter is kind of good, but in one situation, and that's when you hit a headshot. Everything else in every other scenario, the Marksman 6-shooter sucks. Look, I hate the 6-shooter. It is probably in my bottom 5 weapons of all time, so maybe I am a little bit biased here, but I don't know. It's just so contingent on hitting that headshot. If you don't hit that headshot, you're going to get outclassed by basically every single weapon. But if you give somebody with incredible aim this weapon, they can probably outgun some of the best in the game. So I'm just kind of waiting for the skill issue comments down below, but for me, just one of my least favorite exotics, and I think one of the worst exotics of all time. At number 18 is the Unstable Bow. I feel like the Unstable Bow is a really forgotten about exotic, and honestly, when I was doing research for this video, I had to make sure that this thing actually existed because I just totally forgot it ever being in the game. If you don't know, all the Unstable Bow does is every time you would draw a new arrow, right, to shoot it, it would switch to a different bow. So that season, I believe this was chapter 2, season 6, that would be the fire bow, shockwave bow, stink bow, and then I think it would go to the regular mechanical bow. I'm not sure. It was all totally random. My only problem with this bow is that I just don't think the bows were that good. The only bow that I think was actually worth carrying in chapter 2, season 6 was the shockwave bow. And maybe the fire bow, you can make that argument, but definitely not the stink bow, right? And so if you wanted to use one specific bow, just go get that bow. You know what I'm saying? Don't take the chance of getting a regular bow that you may not like. I think this weapon is a cool and unique idea, as most of the exotics are, but in practice, I don't think it plays out very well. At 17, we have the Chili Chug Splashes. They're a pretty solid item, but I mean, they're just regular Chug splashes but make you run faster. What I will say is this item really excels when you combine it with other items such as a shockwave, for example. But I honestly just think we have better healing items in the exotic rarity, and so the Chili Chug Splash just kind of fell down to the bottom because it just kind of doesn't do anything special. It just gives you the 20 HP or shield and then makes you run fast. So it doesn't do anything wrong, but it doesn't do anything great either. Next, at number 16, we have the Icy Grappler, and I really struggled with where to place this. On one hand, the Icy Grappler is certainly one of the best mobility items of all time. We saw it come back recently. It was absolutely broken. It had to be taken out of the game, fixed, reworked, because people were just literally glitching and flying across the map. But all glitches aside, it's actually a pretty good mobility item, right? If you don't know, you just grapple and your feet turn into those ice cubes, similar to the big chill effect. But I'm gonna be honest here, I just really didn't like the Icy Grappler. I hate the fact that, you know, you're grappling and let's say someone starts shooting you, you get into a fight and you have to wait till those icy feet die off until you can actually do something. In terms of rotating from one spot to the next, the Icy Grappler is really, really effective, but once you start getting shot at or you get into a fight, the Icy Grappler just kind of becomes useless. Like if you're trying to grapple onto someone's builds or something and then all of a sudden you have icy feet and your whole fight just gets messed up. I just think it's more of an inconvenience when you fight, but as a rotation item and as a mobility item, it really, really excels. At number 15, and I can't believe it made it this far up on this list. If you guys watch any of my videos, you know how much I hate this weapon. That's the Dub at number 15. I'm not going to rant on this because I just did in my worst exotics video. Why would I ever use a shotgun that is meant for hyper close quarters that is going to push me away from my target? I will never understand it. It is a fun gun. It is really fun, and paired with other items, it is incredible. I know people are going to tell me, just crouch, dude. Come on, like you don't go flying back. I'm not going to purposely try and crouch in a fight just to try and make the weapon usable. For me, that is way too much of an inconvenience. Again, I just don't understand why I would want to be pushed away from my target when I'm using a shotgun, and I'm not denying it's fun here, but in practicality, it's not good. We have also seen recently more just better exotic shotguns come out that I'm sure we will see at the top of this list. Next, at number 14 is the Burst Quad Launcher. If you don't know, the quad launcher was just a rocket launcher that you could shoot 4 rockets out of before you would have to reload, and the Burst Quad Launcher just puts that in bursts of 2, so it would shoot 2, and then you'd have to reload. I don't think it's that bad, and I definitely think it is the best exotic weapon we have seen up to this point at this list. I just have 2 major gripes with it. One is the splash damage kind of area of effect. You essentially have to have the rocket like right next to their feet for them to take damage. Anything greater than that, you're really not going to get any damage off, and if you use a regular rocket launcher, you know that's not the case. If you shoot it like 5 meters within their body, it'll do the splash damage to them. But this weapon has a very, very small area of effect. Also, the bullet drop, or I guess in this case, the rocket kind of drop over time is extremely prevalent. You have to aim way, way above your target because this rocket drops over time so fast. It just makes it kind of annoying to use and inconvenient, but in the right hands, it can be pretty good, so I'll leave it here. At number 13, we have the Grappler Bow, and I think this is going to be a controversial one. But the Grappler Bow is an all-around pretty solid weapon. My problem is I just don't like bows, but I can acknowledge a weapon that is going to one-shot headshot all the time. That automatically will put it up on this list. So combining a weapon that one-shot headshots but also has incredible, basically unlimited mobility has to be at least the halfway point on this list. And I think some people may expect it higher, but I don't like bows. It's a total personal pick. I understand why some people would put this in their top 10, even their top 5, but I'm not a bow user, so it has to stay kind of at this middle range for me. At number 12, we have the Super Slap Splash. When I was talking about the Chili Chugs earlier in this video, I mentioned that we have better healing exotic items, and this is one of them. Let's be honest here, the Super Slap Splash, try and say that 3 times fast, but it just does exactly what the Chili Chugs do, just everything better. You can hold the same amount as you can with the Chugs, but you get plus 30 health, and you also get the slap effect, which if you don't know, just gives you that kind of like infinite sprint for, I believe it was a minute. So you get 10 more health per Slap Splash, which if you hold 6, that's 60 extra health, and you also get the unlimited sprint if you use them all 6 minutes of infinite sprint. Like that's really, really strong. I don't think there's any surprises here that it's going to be ahead of the chili Chugs because it just does everything that the Chugs do, but better. At number 11, we have the Hop Rock dualies. I love the dual pistols. I think they're a cool weapon. I think they're extremely underrated, and they are really, really good and effective in the right hands. These weapons do solid damage, and I really only have one problem with them. And ironically, it's actually the Hop Rock effect. Now, don't get me wrong, the Hop Rock effect can be really, really good, and you can often catch players by surprise. And it's a pretty decent mobility item. The only problem is you have to shoot every time you want the Hop Rock effect, so if you're trying to use it for mobility, you are probably going to get hurt by somebody else. My only problem is I just found oftentimes when I was trying to use them, the Hop Rock effect would kind of ruin the fight for me. Like, I would be straight up shooting somebody, and I would just try and jump onto the ceiling in front of me, and then I would end up going flying to the right, and I would get killed. Like, you know, that type of stuff? I would much rather just use regular dualies, and if there was ability to like toggle the Hop Rock ability on or off, I think that would be really good. But as it currently stands, it just falls outside of the top 10 for me. At number 10 is the Chug Cannon. Yeah, the Chug Cannon is just an infinite source of heals. You really can't argue against that. After we had gotten the Bandage Bazooka in the beginning of chapter 2, I think a lot of people's first questions is, can we get the same thing but for shield? And Fortnite delivered here with this one. The only argument I could see against the Chug Cannon is, one, it is pretty loud, so people are going to know when you're healing and are potentially weak, and two, the fact that it only gives you 15 per shot and you only have 5 shots before they have to recharge, right? So 15 times 5, what's the math there? Was that 75? So not great there. So if you get beamed, for example, and you have to use all of them at once, you're only getting 75. That's not great. But if you can space out the Chug Cannon plus the ability to hit your teammates with it, it is extremely useful. And of course, again, it's infinite, so you can have it for the whole game. In my opinion, it is worth the 2 slots it takes up and just cracks the top 10 here. Earlier, we had talked about the Boom Heavy Sniper, and I mentioned that there are better snipers in the exotic rarity, and here is one at the number 9 spot. That is the Dragon's Breath Sniper. Look, it's a solid sniper. It's a bolt action sniper with the fire effect. The only kind of problem with this weapon is if it ever came back, fire doesn't really do anything anymore, so it would just be a regular bolt action sniper. That being said, I would actually just take a regular bolt action sniper more than the majority of weapons that I've previously mentioned. But when the fire effect actually did something in game, it was really good. The ability for someone to just be sitting in a box, you just shoot the wall and they have to get out, forced a lot of chaos and a lot of problems. I believe the bullet projectile here was slower and it had a larger drop because it was kind of that like heavy incendiary round, you know what I'm saying? But if you were a good sniper, you were going to be good with this weapon. It was a one-shot headshot, of course, so you know it had to be high on this list. At number 8, and people are going to disagree with me in the comments below on this one, that is going to be the Heisted Explosive Assault Rifle. This is the first of 5 of the Heisted exotic weapons, and they're all pretty good. Of course, they're cracking all inside the top 10. I just personally feel like the Heisted Explosive Assault Rifle, or just the Heisted Red Eye, as a lot of you probably know it as, was not that good. Look, I am not a fan of the Red Eye in the first place, so maybe I just have a negative bias towards this weapon. And what I will say for this gun in particular is the area of effect, the splash damage, is really good. You could shoot it basically like an RPG right at their feet and it would do good damage. I just have 2 major problems. One, that being that the projectile, the bullet, was so slow. This was not a hit scan weapon. You were shooting a projectile. As well as this weapon was just painfully slow. Anything shorter than like 30-40 meters, you were probably just going to get beamed by something else. I was not a huge fan of this assault rifle, and I think it is the worst of the heisted weapons, but I mean, it's inside its top 10, so is it really that bad? And at number 7 is the Heisted Breacher Shotgun. I honestly think I'm in the minority of people who are anti-heavy shotgun rework, right? The one that made it shoot like this like small slug round instead of having like multiple big pellets. And look, I know these skill issue comments are going to be coming in, but what can I say? I'm just not a fan of it. But what I can say is the fact that this shotgun will one-shot, I believe it was any wall, right? Made it extremely dangerous in the right hands. There were plenty of times where I got absolutely destroyed by somebody using this weapon. They just shotgun their way into your box and you're basically cooked because you're not expecting it. In the right hands, I could see this being a top 3 exotic of all time, but for me, it is going to be number 7. At number 6 is the final sniper of this video. That's the Storm Scout Sniper Rifle. If you don't know, the exotic Storm Scout Sniper actually has the exact functionality as the regular Storm Scout. They have the same damage, same everything. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. You have a semi-auto sniper that Would you look at that, one-shot headshots. You also have the ability to track where the next storm is. This is very useful, right? If you guys don't know, you would scope in the bottom left corner, it would show like a little circle, and that is where the next zone would be. And this makes this weapon better, right? Because if you know where the next zone is, you just set up there, and that actually makes the sniper itself better. You're in a better spot, and you have better opportunities to snipe people and even headshot people at that rate. I think it's better than the Dragon's Breath, and it is absolutely better than the Boom Sniper, so it gets a spot right outside of the top 5. And now we are into the top 5. These are all pretty elite weapons, and these are all weapons that you can absolutely dominate with. These are the weapons that in the right hands can absolutely take over a game. Most of the exotics are just kind of this like fun, kooky kind of weapon with a unique trait, but these are seriously good weapons. At number 5 is the Heisted Run and Gun SMG. While I feel like it's the weaker of the two Heisted SMGs, it is still an extremely good weapon. Not only was it good for mobility, right, because you would shoot it and you would get the kind of hot pepper effect, just like the same as you would get with the chili chug splashes, but it was a solid weapon. It was the compact SMG. The P90 is a really good SMG, and if it wasn't for the season that it was in, I think it actually would get more love. I think this gun kind of got outshined by the Twin Mag SMG, which of course is one of just the best guns of all time. But if you put the Heisted Run and Gun SMG in this season, I think it would be one of the best guns in the whole season. It's got good damage, good fire rate, good magazine capacity, and a good ability with it, that being the fire kind of feat effect. So for all those reasons, it's our number 5 weapon here. And at the number 4 spot is the Burst Pulse Rifle. This thing was incredible. The Pulse Rifle on its own was an extremely strong weapon, but I love what they did here. They made it unique by making a burst, but if you hip fired it, it was still fully auto. This weapon was really, really good, and for a couple reasons. One, the ability to have no bloom, right? When you would shoot, it would have no bloom at all. If your crosshair was on them, you were going to hit them for, I think it was like 45 damage, something crazy like that. And it's a burst, right? So as long as you are somewhat accurate, you can easily do 90 damage in the snap of a finger. My only problem is that it was really slow to aim down sights, and just a kind of a slow weapon in general. The burst wasn't that quick, and the time between bursts was pretty slow, but that's how they have to kind of balance a weapon that does 45 damage as an assault rifle. The pulse rifle on its own was incredibly strong, but you make it a burst, and I think it got even better. At number 3 is the Shadow Tracker Silence Pistol. Wow, I mean, this is one of the best pistols of all time. Not only do you get one of the best quote-unquote exotic effects of all time, that being when you hit them, you get the marking ability, that red like ping above them, but just the weapon on its own, even if you didn't have that, the fact that it was a fully auto silence pistol was so good. Great fire rate and very little bloom. That's the key. I know people that were using this as their assault rifle at those types of ranges. I think this weapon really excelled, especially in Chapter 4 Season 3, because of how dense that jungle biome was. One, you had a suppressor, so you were pretty silent, people couldn't locate you, and two, all you had to do was just hit them once and you could track them through the entire dense jungle. This is a criminally underrated weapon in Fortnite history, probably a top 3 pistol ever, and absolutely a top 3 exotic weapon of all time. But at number 2 is the Heisted Blink Mag SMG. Look, they took a weapon in the Twin Mag SMG that was already unbelievable and just made it even better. That dash ability is extremely strong. If you don't know, it was, I think, every reload or every other reload you would be able to have that ability where you would double jump and you would kind of boost right, left, forward, backwards, whatever you wanted to do, basically making you impossible to hit. And the plays that you can make with this weapon are amazing. The ability to just shoot once, reload. You know, let's say you hit someone with a sniper and you just want to get to them quickly, just shoot the SMG one time and you can get to them instantly. So pair one of the best actual just base weapons of all time with probably, in my opinion, one of the best exotic abilities of all time. Yeah, you're going to have a top 2 weapon. But in my opinion, there was just one exotic weapon that was just a little bit better than the Blink Mag SMG, and that is the Heisted Accelerant Shotgun, or just the exotic Maven Shotgun. I honestly think that most people probably saw this one coming. I don't think there's a lot of surprise here. You could probably make an argument that it's one of the best shotguns of all time, and that's absolutely not crazy to say. If you guys didn't know, every time you would deal damage to somebody, land a pellet on somebody, the fire rate of the gun would speed up, and your actual movement speed would speed up. And of course, if you know anything about Fortnite, which is probably why you're watching this video, fast is better. You don't want to be slow, you don't want to be sluggish, you'll get caught behind, you will get killed. Being faster is better. It was just really good. I don't really know what else to say. This ability went perfect with a weapon like this, where you were going to be shooting somebody 3, 4, 5 times before you killed them, and you could easily chain together 2, 3 kills because of how fast the fire rate would be. It would become almost automatic. I've seen multiple 1v2, 1v3, 1v4s with this weapon even, because that's what you could do when your fire rate was so fast and you did solid damage. I don't think there's any surprises here, but I do think that the Heisted Accelerant Shotgun is the best exotic weapon ever. So yeah, guys, that's the end of my list. Where have exotics gone? They have just seemed to kind of disappear. Of course, these weapons are made to be fun, made to be unique, and not necessarily meta weapons, so take that into account here with my rankings. But again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe for more content exactly like this. I try my best to get a video up every day. Let me know whether you agree or disagree with my picks here, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.